So you decided you wanted to grade your cards with PSA and are wondering, how do I package my cards and what does the order process look like? Well, luckily for you, in this video, I'll be going over those two exact things. Hey, my name's Collections, I'm Sean and I collect things, and this is my channel where I talk about the Pokemon card hobby, give advice, and open packs. If content that helps you collect and expand your collection is what you enjoy, I really hope you stick around. And if you are a first-time viewer, thank you so much for clicking on this video. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for clicking on again. I hope you guys like the content, and let's get started. Alright, so here I am on PSA's website. Before I even take a look at the order I'm placing, let's take a look at what the grades are. These are baseball cards, but I think they still stand for Pokemon cards. Like I was mentioning in my video, when I was showing you the video of the card itself, you can see that PSA allows for a certain amount of, not discrepancy, but being off-centered to an extent. So 55, 45 to 60-40, which means you have like this margin of error. So that's pretty good. I think my card there, when I was looking at it, it never exceeded 60-40 according to the app. And looking at the tool I use, it also stayed within bounds. And the other part of being a PSA 10, it must be free of any staining of any kind, but an allowance may be made for a slight printing imperfection. So what I'm hoping is that the corners is counted as a slight imperfection, and the edges, but I think that might be wishful thinking. It doesn't impair the overall appeal of the card. The image must be centered, is what I mentioned before. So yeah, PSA 10, it's ideally the best condition card you can get, but with the way PSA grades, sometimes that's not always true. I've seen some PSA 10s that are a bit sus, but usually PSA is pretty good. The other thing we should look at is PSA 9, because I think that's the other grade this card might get. It does have minor printing imperfections, which is why I'm thinking this might be a 9 over a 10. Slightly off-white borders, that's true too. The centering on this card is much closer to a 10 than it is to a 9, so I'm hoping that helps bump, because PSA doesn't have the concept of a 9.5. But yeah, we'll just see what happens. And the other grade you might see when you're buying and actually would want to buy is probably a PSA 8. It's a near mint to mint, which means it could have a little bit of more defects. Slight fraying on one or two corners, a minor printing imperfection, or slightly off-white borders. And the centering is not as strict as the previous 9 or 10. What I actually have done in the past is picked up cards that were in PSA 8 instead of a PSA 9 or 10, just because they were a lot cheaper than trying to go for the full copy. I have a couple of these, and I think it's honestly a pretty good way to collect, especially if you don't care too much about the quality. You just want them to be decent quality, especially since with those PSA 8s, they sometimes even go lower than the raw copy of a card. So what you could do is buy an 8, crack open the case, and then just keep the card as a single that you can put in your binder. And yeah, it's not a bad option at all. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the submission I started filling out. So we go start. This is my experience as a first-time consumer of PSA. So it was pretty confusing, as you can see. I had another listening to, but let's start from the beginning. So from my understanding, you go through, you click trading card, grading. Obviously, that's what we want to do. And so this is was confusing for me at first. There's like so many different payment options and insurance types. And so what you want to do is figure out what the insurance value of the card is once it's graded, based on what you expect. So in my case, it's probably going to be at least 1,500, just because it is the Moonbryon, and we can take a look at price charting. Price charting, Moonbryon. Right now, okay, PSA 10 is a little expensive, so maybe, hold on, someone bought it? Okay, that's a little crazy, so maybe I will spring for the a little bit higher in terms of the grading, just in case it does get that 10. Because even a 9 looks to be doing quite high. So, well, it's a good thing I double checked. Because yesterday when I was doing this, I don't think there was sales data for a 9 or a 10. But yeah, as you can see here, the grading price is not cheap, but I guess that's the price you pay to get it authenticated by the big name in the field. The other options are CGC or Tag are the two that I was looking at. But I think for this card, I decided to go with PSA just for a multitude of reasons. But yeah, you would choose these lower values if the card itself was lower in value, when it would, based off of what grade you expect to get, is essentially how it works. As you can see, these go really high also. But for my purposes, I think I'll need to go with this one. Right, and then so here you go to item entry. It's the Umbreon here. So you can see my max insurance is 2,500. From my understanding, if it does come back at 10. PSA will end up probably upcharging me to get it to the higher value. But the good thing about getting the higher value price is you get the card back faster. It's good and bad, I guess, because as you saw from the wait times for the other cards, it's oops, I went back too far. It's quite long, right? 45 business days versus 5. So I'll get this card back pretty quick, and then we can do another video looking at the card and seeing how it did. Okay. And then next thing is shipping and billing. Okay, I just flashed my information, so I'll blur this out in post. But you can see here, I'll probably end up doing this. Okay, so you can either print your own label or have PSA do it. I believe, from my understanding here, you can get a FedEx label. Again, I'll have to blur this out. Your items are not covered by the maximum insured value until they receive by PSA. So I'll probably need to purchase insurance. So I'll have to do some research actually if this is worth it for my end, I guess. You see, and then when you're done, there's an option to send it to PSA, sell it on eBay, or to ship the items back. In my case, I want to ship the items back, and you'd fill in your address and everything. You go to review order, and you can purchase and everything. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, and here we are packing up the order, just getting everything ready. So it's a couple steps. The first one, obviously, you need your card to be in a card saver. Card saver over top loaders because it's easier for PSA and the graders to take it out without damaging the card. And so as you can see, I put cardboard around it to add a little bit of rigidity. And that's actually what they suggest to do on PSA's website. And those papers you saw earlier, they're actually the order papers. So part of what PSA asks you to do is fold up those papers and add them along to your order as well, just so that they are clear on what cards are being graded, the order of the cards that are being graded, and what your order number is as a whole. So if you miss those out, as you can see, I folded them a bunch just to squeeze them right on top of the cardboard there. But if you're missing them, I don't know if PSA will be able to grade your cards at all. So that's a very important step. And the next thing I'm doing here is rubber banding it all together. I did a little bit above my camera, so you can't really see, but you'll see the end results. Essentially, the rubber band's just there to hold everything together so that in transit, even though you do put like bubble wrap and everything around it, the paper stay together, the cardboard stays safely around the card, and the card stays in between everything. I do have the order number there, but I think that should be fine since it's officially been graded now as of me recording this part, and I'll be going over that in the next video in this series. But as you can see here, bubble wrapping is super important. You want to make sure your cards are safe because especially like with an order I did, I really wanted to make sure the card arrived safely so that when PSA graded it, everything would go fine. I've not looked at the grades yet, so I'm waiting to see them in person, but very excited. So hopefully now that we've taken a look at what the grading standards are, how to place your order, and how to package your cards, everything makes a little bit more sense. For me personally, this being my first time officially grading a card, it was pretty confusing at first, but hopefully this tutorial and this sort of walkthrough really helps a lot. And hopefully when you guys grade cards, you guys get the best grade possible. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm still waiting on the card to arrive. The grading process has been done, but I have not looked at the grade yet, so I'm very, very hopefully waiting for it. Hopefully a 10, probably a 9, but I'll be happy no matter what. So you guys should stick around. I'll be doing an unboxing of that in the next couple videos. But yeah, if you guys really enjoy this content, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that mumbo jumbo, and hopefully I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you so much. This is Collection signing off.